but we're on the path to being able to better protect our most vulnerable.
Saving the lives of those at greatest risk.
Follow the guidance. Protect the most vulnerable.
Do you feel the state is protecting all of its most vulnerable?
No.
No.
Do you feel the state is protecting its most vulnerable?
No, it's not.
Two families, both with children who have high-risk conditions, both who feel the state's vaccination rollout plan left them out.
Historically, people with disabilities have been marginalized.
Annie Borden is mom to 8-year-old twins Posey and Otis. Otis has cerebral palsy.
I think this added isolation during the pandemic has made us kind of more keenly aware of how left out a family like ours can feel.
Exposure concerns mean in-person school has not been an option for either child. Even trips to the grocery store are stressful because Borden says if the virus got into their household, it could kill Otis.
And we know that respiratory illness is a leading cause of death for people with cerebral palsy.
Otis is too young to be eligible for a COVID-19 vaccine. But Annie and her husband say immunizing them would provide a layer of protection for him, except they don't qualify under the state's rules.
Why do you think the state hasn't vaccinated the parents yet?
I don't know. And I think I don't know why the state hasn't prioritized families like ours. A lot of families are just feeling so desperate and also just not heard or recognized. And I think that's the hard part.
So do you feel the state is protecting all of their most vulnerable?
So no, I don't.
Dr. Jill Reinhardt is a UVM Medical Center pediatrician, and many of her patients have high-risk medical conditions. She's been advocating on their behalf to the Scott administration for months.
Have you gotten any response?
Not directly.
She says what's frustrating to her is that she feels Vermont is doing so well in other areas, but falling short for this often overlooked group. Because she says while COVID-19 is not a pediatric disease,
Of the children who do contract COVID and end up in the ICU, it is this group of children who have medical complexity and immunocompromised. So it's really hard as a pediatrician to say, oh, don't worry about COVID. It only affects children like yours.
and she says even if the child doesn't get ill, if their caregiver does, it can delay critical treatments.
You know, my real fear is if a caregiver, a parent or a guardian, contracts COVID, who's left to take care of that medically complex child?
That's what Robin and Matt Pyle fear each day.
We just want to be safe so we can keep her safe.
Their daughter, 8-year-old Allison, has been battling brain cancer since she was just 11 months old. She needs twice-weekly treatments at the UVM Children's Hospital and often has to go down to Boston for brain surgeries.
There's a lot of unknown in her care. So in order for us to make sure that she's getting what she needs, we need to make sure that we're also being cared for as well.
They have been taking every precaution possible, but Matt can't work from home and says people at his office have gotten COVID.
The risk is still there. It could be somebody who I work next to. You know, it's hard to know.
Letters to the state advocating for their family to be eligible early for a vaccine went unanswered, leaving them feeling
unsupported.
Dismissed, not important, that they don't value her life.
Honestly scared.
What would be the best thing the state could do for your family right now?
Vaccinate us.
The CDC did not recommend prioritizing caretakers of children with high-risk medical needs, but Dr. Reinhardt said at least 15 other states did. And when I asked the Vermont health officials why they chose not to, I was told that they had discussed this issue and had, quote, concluded that at a time of vaccine scarcity, this would not be an exception. Going on to say that in reality, there are far too many scenarios and Vermonters seeking exceptions.